Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate so many of you making the time to join us on this Ann Arbor Public Schools Town Hall. Just so that you're aware, this session is being recorded. It'll be posted to our website, so all of our parents and community members who are not able to join us live can get this information a little bit later on. As you know well, we are in the midst of week 4 of a 12-week school building closure due to the COVID-19 crisis. We so appreciate the work of our students and our parents and our community and our extraordinary AAPS team as we have navigated through these previous weeks and are working very hard to have things moving forward over the coming 9 weeks of this school year. This is indeed an unprecedented challenge, and yet we really believe that we want to leverage this challenge as an opportunity to live into our core values and to do our work well. I just want to touch on some of the highlights, and then we'll get into our continuity of learning plan, if that sounds all right. We also have Miss Jenna Bacolor here with us from Rec and Ed, and she's going to touch on just a few of the components of their work over at our Rec and Ed division. And then we have Mr. Paul DeAngelis here with high school programming, because we're aware that so many of our questions understandably are coming in now about high school. We've been busy attending to the needs of our students, our staff, our families, in following that Maslow's hierarchy of need. And so I've kind of organized an overview following that hierarchy today. We've been busy distributing food. We began that right away on the first day of our school closure, Monday, March 16th. And as of tomorrow, we will have distributed more than 125,000 meals. We're serving now currently approximately 2,000 students a day at 17 locations, providing 7 days of food, breakfast, and lunch each week. And we continued that through spring break. So we're so grateful for our families who continue to come out. And I want to just give a shout out to anyone. If you know of anyone, or if you or your family are experiencing a need of food, our food hotline number is 994-2265. And we just ask that you give us a call, and we will have folks assist you right away with ensuring that food is taken care of. 734-994-2265. In addition to food, our tech team has been busy distributing tech devices and supporting all of our families who do not have connectivity, and ensuring that we're getting everybody wired up and connected. To date, they've distributed about 3,000 devices, and we have a parent help technology helpline that operates 7:30 in the morning to 7:30 in the evening, Monday through Friday. And I'll ask Mr. Cluley to show you on the website that phone number here shortly. Our teachers and staff have been incredibly busy sharpening their skills to be prepared for this distance learning challenge. We've had over 800 seats filled in training sessions, about 81 skill sessions. And we're so proud of our work of our teachers and our staff to meet this challenge head on and continue to do what we do in Ann Arbor, which is to connect with children and families, but to do that while we're physically apart. We know when it comes to teaching and learning that one size does not fit all families. So I want to touch on just a few details of the continuity of learning plan that is up on our website. We want to show you the Remote Learning Resource Center. It's being added to every day and has lots of great resources for our families. Just a little bit about our continuity of learning plan. That formal application was due, was opened last week. You don't necessarily need to know this, but our continuity of learning plan, filing that and getting it approved, and it has been approved, is our funding for the remainder of the school year is contingent upon this plan and upon implementing this plan. So we'll talk just a little bit about what you should expect. We launched back on Monday with a more significant teaching and learning plan. Our teachers are using learning platforms to work remotely, distance learning. That is Seesaw at elementary level and Google Classroom at secondary level. Our teachers are focused now on forward instruction. We're delighted with the work that they're doing. They're sending messages, assignments, activities, learning activities. They're interacting on those platforms. Our counselors and intervention specialists and support workers are busy reaching out to students, just like they would on a regular school day, to support our students. I want to touch on, as hard as this closure has been for our families, it's even harder, we know, for parents of students with special needs. So I want to touch on our parents, with our parents of students with an individual education plan, an IEP, a 504, students whose first language, for whom English is their second language, our students who experience poverty, Title I students. We are working in all of those areas. And so what you all should expect is to hear directly from your classroom teacher or from your support teacher. And those support folks, our school psychologists, our social workers, our speech and language pathologists, our physical and occupational therapists, they are beginning now, and they will be supporting students also in an online remote platform to deliver those services. We will be watching closely about how our students are participating. So I want you to know that there are a couple ways we'll be keeping an eye on student participation. One is through the classroom assignments that teachers are making. And then secondly, on Fridays, parents can expect that that's the day for the check for understanding. So we are expecting those checks for understanding to be delivered back to the teacher by the following Tuesday. And if students are failing to participate in those key and critical ways, we will be following up and reaching out with phone calls, with direct contacts to make sure that we're supporting our students in every way we can. I want to thank all of you who have responded to our thought exchange survey that we put out last Thursday evening. And as of this afternoon, we have 1,150 responses, more than 50,000 ratings. So thank you all who've already filled that out. If you've not participated and would like to, that thought exchange is open through 8 p.m. this evening. So we'd really love to hear from you. It's very important to us to hear your thoughts, hear your feedback, and adjust our work through this closure time. When we think about our next steps, we know that this academic concern resulting from the COVID closure won't get fixed in just these 9 weeks of school remaining. So you can look forward to hearing from us more about interim learning. Between the 1st of May and the middle of June, we'll be offering some additional learning enhancements and opportunities. Also during June, during July, and during August, we'll be offering opportunities for learning. And we want to make sure those opportunities will be optional, but we really want to encourage folks because we know our students will need a lot of support. In addition, another next step that we're taking is teams of our teachers are already working on mapping next year's curricula, scope and sequence to date back to the middle of March. So we're very much going to be working next year to ensure that we're wrapping in these learnings from spring over into our courses next year. Look forward to those summer offerings. The last thing I want to share, and then we'll go over to Ms. Bacolor for some highlights from Rec and Ed, is I want to just note that if you or anyone you know, any of our students or families are in need of mental health or social emotional support, we just always want to share that right on our website. It's in an area called You Are Not Alone. We've listed so many community supports, so just feel free to reach to your teacher, reach to your school counselor or principal, or to any of us on the Ann Arbor Public Schools team. There are supports available in this community, and we want to very much support all of our students and staff and community members with that all important mental health concern. And so with that, we really appreciate again that you've joined us today. And we'll go first to Ms. Bacolor. They've done a tremendous job at evolving the Rec and Ed programming so that we have lots of outlets for learning in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Ms. Bacolor.
Community. I'm really happy to be here today to share with you some of the things going on with Rec and Ed. As you know, for our 100 years, our mission has been to improve the quality of life, mainly through face-to-face interactions. So whether it's at our childcare programs or at on the soccer field or field hockey, or for adults playing softball, all the way to summer camps and after school enrichment classes. All of those interactions are face to face, and that's part of the fabric of our community. So, of course, shifting that is quite an undertaking. And what we've been able to do is move a good portion of our spring catalog that will not be mailed to your house because it's not correct anymore, but moved a good portion of it to a new website. And I'd like to share that with you now. That's okay, Dr. Swift. All right. Oop. I need to be enabled. I'm just going to wait a second for Andrew to enable me to share my screen. It's part of that new Zoom. Oh, there we go. Great. All right. I can share my screen right here. So this is our new website. We're very proud of being able to launch this. It's called aarecedonline.com. And I want to thank the many staff who worked very hard over just a short period of time to make this possible. So if you go to aarecedonline.com, you will see this heading, Your Class is Just a Click Away. And we have 3 types of classes available for the community. The first is our lifelong learning. Second, our first steps in preschool for our youngest community members and their parents or other adults. And then youth enrichment and instructional sports. And one thing to note is that we're adding new classes all the time. So just to show you really quickly what's available for lifelong learning, which all right, it's just taking a second, I think, because I'm on a Zoom. We have lots of our same wonderful, really high quality instructors offering things that you can do from the comfort of your home. And the great thing is that the Rec and Ed way of having you experience something over several weeks that leads to personal fitness, etc., is still here. Our instructors will offer live interactive classes, and there's just a nice variety for people to do. As the stay-at-home order, kind of wears on, it's an opportunity to be interacting with people who care about you, who don't necessarily live with you, right? So let's just take a look at First Steps in Preschool. These are really fun. And there are a lot of instructor videos that you can watch just to find out what the class is about. And on this page, it goes by day of week, and we're offering lots of great interactive, fun, and recreational activities for our youngest kiddos out there. And then finally, I'll show you our youth enrichment and instructional sports. And this, again, gives your children something to do in a way that's live and interactive, and goes for a few weeks so that they can learn a new skill. And there's lots of people having a lot of fun in these classes right now. So again, some of them are happening now, some of them are coming up a little later in the spring. Just so people know, we've reduced our prices. Our scholarship program is still available for people, and we are just ready to see you, even though it's through your screen. We're ready to see you and encourage you on your personal journeys that you go on with us. And I'm going to stop the share, and we're back. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share what ReckonEd is doing with you.
Thank you, Ms. Bacolor, and kudos to your team for really redesigning how you make the connections across our Ann Arbor Public Schools community. We have with us Mr. Paul DeAngelis, and joining us, Dr. Marianne Fidishin, Executive Director of Student Intervention and Support Services, and Assistant Superintendent Ms. Dawn Linden of Teaching and Learning. So I think what we'll do is Mr. DeAngelis was just going to share a few updates from high school. We'll be doing these town halls on a fairly regular basis, and I'll have different guests on each one. But we've had a lot of questions from high school parents. So Mr. DeAngelis, if you'll kind of give an overview, and then we'll head back. Mr. Cluley, I think we'll be ready to just take a tour of that learning resource center that we're just populating every day with so much for our parents and students to access there. Mr. DeAngelis.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. As we know, we've moved to forward learning this week. And what that means for the high schools is that Community High School, Huron High School, and Pioneer High School continued on with their semester 2 courses. For the students that were at Pathways and Skyline, they began forward learning in their trimester. As we know, when we ended school in March, on March 13th, that was the last day of the second trimester. So at both Pathways and Skyline, they're now into their third trimester courses. High schools have been very active this week. As of today, each class should have put out, each teacher for each class should have put out 2 assignments or activities this week. Tomorrow, as Dr. Swift mentioned earlier, is our Check for Understanding Day. So there'll be no forward learning or new lessons tomorrow. But each of our teachers will be checking in with their students to just make sure that the learning went well this week, and to create some kind of an activity or some kind of a prompt that will help them check in with their students, and help students actually check in with teachers about any concerns that they've had with the assignments to date. Some of the questions that we've been getting and answering have to do with how credit is earned, whether or not there are grades, and we've put this in many of our communications, but I just want to remind those that are listening that there are no grades for this semester or trimester, that students are working on earning credit in each of those courses, and they earn credit by demonstrating proficiency on assignments or completing the activities that teachers are putting out. The other question that we get about this idea of students earning credit is, how does it impact a student's GPA? And we want to just assure everyone that there is no negative impact on a student's GPA as we go through these final 9 weeks. Students will earn credit in the courses that they complete the assignments in, and a credit or a G grade. A G grade was what will appear on their transcripts. I think a related question that we're getting is How will colleges and universities accept what's happening in this trimester? And we've heard from many of our college partners, U of M being right across the street. We've heard from them and many others that they recognize that this is a unique situation that's impacting students all over the country, and for many of our universities, students all over the world that will be coming into their schools over the course of the next several years. So I don't want anybody to panic. We don't have answers to all of the questions, but we do know that colleges and universities understand that students are not earning they're not earning grades in this semester or trimester, and that transcripts will just simply be limited to whether students have earned credit in the courses that they're taking. We've been getting a lot of questions about school activities coming up, especially related to seniors, and we want you to know we've had lots of meetings both at the high school level and across our cabinet team about honoring seniors and doing all that we can between now and whenever these restrictions are lifted, or to the degree that they're lifted, to do some really special things for seniors. We've been asked, have we canceled any of these things yet? And our answer is we have not canceled anything related to end of the year activities. We have not canceled senior proms yet. We haven't canceled graduations yet. We're really just trying to be thoughtful about this. We're trying to take the best information that we have. I think the reality is that we're going to have some struggles over the next couple of months to have large gatherings, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't do something down the road, or it doesn't mean that we can't come up with some other creative ways in which we're going to honor seniors. But we're all committed to that. All 5 lead administrators and their teams are committed to that. And we want you to just know that a priority for us is making sure that we honor our seniors in all the ways that we can. Some other questions that have come up related to how we're transitioning the class of 2024, our next year's group of freshmen, about music auditions. All of those questions will be answered over the coming weeks. We're, again, trying to be as thoughtful as we can about those decisions. We want to make sure that we can reach every student and do that in very thoughtful and appropriate ways. So that's a general update on high schools. We're excited about where things have gone in this first week. The participation numbers have been really, really strong, and we'll continue to make sure that they get stronger each week by reaching out to students, both at the teacher level and at the building level. We'll be reaching out to students that may not have yet engaged in the forward learning.
Thank you, Mr. DeAngelis. We are really working in 3 key and critical areas throughout this closure time. First is to ensure engagement and connection for every child and every family in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Secondly, that compassion and support and outreach and partnership to ensure food security and technology support and all of those components. And then thirdly, very importantly, is about content and teaching and learning. And Assistant Superintendent Ms. Dawn Linden is with us, along with Dr. Fidishin, who supports our students with special needs. And they're going to preview for you an area of our website where there's so much information and support. So, Ms. Linden, how about it?
Thank you, Dr. Swift. It's great to be here and happy to share this resource with our families and our community. So I will begin a screen share with you now. Hopefully you now have the main page of our website, a2schools.org/AAPS. Here should be a familiar landing page for folks, and right down the center are all of the important headlines. You'll see all of the important information and Dr. Swift's messages to our community. They live here under coronavirus updates. But I'm going to walk you through our Remote Learning Resource Center, which is the second headline here. This is where our families can get access to a number of resources. As Dr. Swift already mentioned, one really important element of the supports that we need to provide and want to provide for our community is technology support. So here along the right side where these blue buttons list are all of those tech support links. This is where our families can go if they need help desk support in the moment. That helpline is open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. That support can be received via email or also through the phone number 734-997-1222, 7:30 to 7:30, in addition, that resource center also has several other links for support, including some FAQs that will help our families to troubleshoot. There is a request form for devices. We know that there are a number of students and families who continue to need access to a device. That form to request is right here on the web. If any families need assistance with completing a form and would like to do that over the phone, they have only to call the help desk, and the help desk will support with that. There are some quick links to some easy tools, including the Clever login, that single login that students across the district use to access platforms and supports. And also there's a button here for supporting families with internet. We know that that remains a challenge for many families in our district, and we're committing to supporting with that. So those tech links are all right here, and we will continue to support all of your needs. So if you don't see what you need there, please contact the help desk and we will get you what you need. Here in the middle, though, are the learning links. They're broken apart by elementary, middle school, and high school. So I'll take you into the elementary first. Here you'll see some really easy to navigate buttons. The first one is a suggested learning time schedule. And this is a question that has come up a few times over the last few days from our families trying to navigate at-home learning. So this has a whole lot of detail depending on the grade range that your children are about how you might set up your daily activities, how you might assure that students are getting the breaks that they need, because we know that's important. There are some suggestions for additional learning opportunities there, what you might do to maintain low stress and support students in mind, body, spirit, environment, and with family. And then we've provided a synopsis of expectations again for teachers, students, and parents here. So those pieces are accessible and we invite you to head there. We also have a resources page here. They are summarized for our families in a number of ways. And you will see something similar at the middle and the high school levels. But here you'll find additional activities and supports that students can do. We often hear from families saying, my children can do a little bit more. What more can I do? We've harnessed those activities here, including our special areas, art, music, PE, library, and Project Lead the Way, that students may be able to access and do. So please don't hesitate to click on those and check those out at your earliest convenience and when it makes sense for you. Sorry, we're clicking around here a little bit. Bear with me. And at the bottom here, there are a couple of really important places. There's a special education hotline for families who have some concerns for students with special needs and need to access additional supports, particularly those involving the use of technology and access. And there's also a link for emotional and mental health resources. So here we understand and want to help our families as much as possible with the social emotional needs in ways to help manage stress and to practice mindfulness in ways that keep us calm and keep us learning in ways that are helpful to us. So we have many, many resources there, including those provided to us by the Michigan Department of Education. So we invite families to look at those as well. And that concludes a quick tour of the Remote Learning Resource Center. Please stop back, though, because we'll be updating it regularly.
Thank you, Ms. Linden. I really appreciate you sharing that with our audience. We're hearing from so many parents now that, and really, we're understanding that folks live all along the continuum. Some parents we're hearing from are saying, we just have too much right now and we can't really engage in school and in learning. We certainly understand that, and our teachers and our teams want to support with messages of care, with connections. we're also hearing from the other end of the spectrum is we'd like to have a lot more to do. And so I appreciate you showing all those resources where folks can access social emotional, or they can access content learning at every grade level in every content area. Dr. Fidishin, I know we just showed some of the work you all have been doing to support our students with special needs. Was there anything that you wanted to add today?
I'm sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. I would say what I would like to add additionally is that, well, we know that we're navigating, especially in special education, really new waters, and it's a very new and interesting journey in which we all are traveling. With the forward learning, all our families will see all our families that have students with disabilities will see that that forward learning pertains to them as well. One of the things you will see is the increased amount of service provision in regards to our related service personnel and our teacher consultant and resource educators. Right initially, we wanted to focus on, as both Ms. Linden and Dr. Swift had mentioned, and also Mr. DeAngelis, that compassion and connection and making sure that our children and their families were safe and well cared for, and ensure that they also had access to their devices and access to our platforms. At this point in time, we'll be moving forward with the forward instruction, as I mentioned, related service professionals. Within the coming weeks, you'll see additional information from them and increased amount of service provision. Likewise, as Ms. Linden mentioned, with the resources that she presented on the website, you'll be seeing a separate page for special education, and they'll be able to address each of the service provider areas of speech and language, social work, occupational therapy, physical therapy, as well as videos and resources for parents and our teachers on things like how to help your child obtain and maintain a schedule during the day, helping your child adjust to the changes that can be so very challenging and difficult for a student with a disability. So please look forward to those in the coming days. We will be getting an announcement out to both our parents and our staff when those will be available to you, but we are working diligently on that, making sure that your child will have the access and opportunity and the enrichment and forward learning that every child has the ability to have.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Fidishin. I know that we've shared a lot of information, and yet an important part of this town hall is receiving your questions. And so I know Mr. Cluley is collecting those questions. And team, if we could hang around for the next half hour or so and just get through as many questions as we can, if that's all right. We will continue to host town halls, especially now as we're moving forward into more significant teaching and learning and getting deeper into this closure timeline. We understand that there are many, many questions, and we want to be responsive to our community. Mr. Cluley, what do you have for us?
One relatively easy one that we should be able to answer quickly is about school of choice. And I believe the board took action last night. Can you talk about what that means for the school of choice registration?
Thank you, Mr. Cluley. So that information is up on our website, Ms. Linden. It is there on the website. And so all of that can be done online. It is our typical application. It will remind folks that prior to our closure, our buildings were very full. So we will be taking those names in a first come, first serve order. And we just encourage folks to get online. And if you do need any assistance with the application or emailing or scanning or attaching or any of that, just give a call or an email. There are contact information right there on the enrollment part of the website.
Thank you. There's been several questions all tied into the desire to have more live interactive lessons such as Zoom and that type of thing between teachers and students. Can you talk about sort of what's going on with that?
Very good. We have that desire also. And so we are continuing to work to scale up a richer, more robust teaching and learning platform in the district. And we do understand that there are requirements that we have to fulfill for privacy and security methods. So it isn't that our teachers can just jump out and use any mechanism out there. They really do have to stay with the teaching and learning platform where we're assured of privacy and those kinds of things. But I just want the community to know the Seesaw platform and the Google Classroom platforms are a great place. Our teachers are doing great work in those. But we are also looking to more robust platforms. So hold that a thought, and we are working on that. We are also publishing to the website, and Mr. Cluley, I know in future communications we'll share exactly where they're going, but we will be sharing those live, video, instructional videos at every content area in every grade level so that folks can get those videos as well. If you have questions, please just reach to your teacher, reach to any of us, because we are all learning in this together. Thank you.
Then the next one, questions about what's going to be happening over the summer. Some of that's tied to Rec and Ed activities, but also then the summer learning opportunities that are going to be available to help kids catch back up if they are falling behind with this closure.
Thank you, Mr. Cluley. What we know is that summer will be a very important time to support our students. And I know that Ms. Bacolor and the Rec and Ed team are working already to design a full menu of activities. Our instructional team is also doing, in fact, there was a summer school meeting today, and we're working on that very diligently. The pressing question of whether that will be face-to-face, Mr. Cluley, or online, we don't know that answer yet, but I want to promise and make the commitment to our community that we will do much more robust summer programming because we're all aware that we need to keep our students engaged and we want to keep them learning and we want them to be enriched and physically active. So stay tuned. And we will have that information out just as quickly as we can. Ms. Bacolor, did you want to add anything about, they say it's always summer at Rec and Ed. So what would you add to that?
Yeah. Summer is one of our very favorite times because we love running summer camps. And we also have community education classes and many sports running every summer. So we're really, our number one priority is keeping people safe from the COVID-19 virus. So we're going to follow what we need to follow to make sure that we're doing nothing to help that spread happen. So we are looking at different options for what can happen this summer. And this having it recedonline.com right now is helping us test some ways of interacting with people online, and that will help inform, can we do a summer camp online, for example? That'll help us figure that out in the very near future. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Cluley.
This is a two-part question. Will there be included contingency learning plans for students with IEPs? And also, why aren't IEP meetings currently taking place and when will they resume?
Very good. Thank you. So we will absolutely be providing the services in a reasonable and good faith way. And as Dr. Fidishin shared, those contacts are taking place now from those specialized service providers. We take an IEP meeting very seriously, want to ensure that we have all the data from the student and everything that is needed to engage in the development of an IEP. We are very limited in a virtual environment as to how much of that can be done in a quality way. So I just want our parents to know we are working with other high-performing districts across the state. We're working with our experts at the state and federal and local levels to really sort out how to conduct our IEP meetings in a quality way that involves bringing together the parent and the student and the special ed providers, professionals at the table. And as soon as we are able to get clarity on how that can be done in a quality way so that student needs are met, then we will absolutely be sharing that information. Dr. Fidishin, Ms. Linden, did y'all want to add anything? It's a perfect question, and I will share with you, it's a question we're thinking on and working on every day. There are no easy or clear answers right at this. Thank you.
I'll stick with another question about students with IEPs. Can teacher aides be utilized to help students with who have IEPs who need extra personal attention?
Thank you for that question. We absolutely are leveraging our TAs, our teacher assistants, and our para-educators. And Dr. Fidishin and Ms. Linden have been working with those two groups of team members, and we absolutely are going to make that connection. And if parents have an idea or want support, want to support us in thinking more about that, we absolutely are leveraging every member of the team to support in the same way with our second language, English as second language students, and with our students who need additional reading or math help. We are leveraging every member of the team. Again, Ms. Linden, Dr. Fidishin, did you want?
Next question is about planning for the fall. It falls into a couple different categories. The possibility of starting in August, and also considering students that are moving from an elementary school to the middle school or the middle school to the high school. What kind of things are being done for planning for those transitions?
Right. So we really pride ourselves in making strong transitions in the Ann Arbor Public Schools from level to level. And yet we know even in the best of systems, the transition from level to level is always a challenge, isn't it? So we will be building in transition steps, and it's a little bit too early to know, but whether that looks like an August set of activities or however that needs to occur, I just want to assure our parents we will not shortcut important transition activities and meetings and visitation's probably not the right word, Mr. DeAngelis, Miss Linden, Dr. Fidishin, but those visitation days, those transition days, we will still be looking at how to do that. Now, the official start of school, we have on our calendar, have had it there for 3 years, the Tuesday after Labor Day. That is where it is right at the moment, but that does not mean, Mr. Cluley, that we might not have some intensive boot camp and pre-learning activities and things going on ahead of that date. So that will be a question that we'll be putting out to our community, out to our staff to see if adjustments need to be made in that start date, or if an intensive August pre-start session would be the best way to go. We are exploring all of our options at this point because we just want to offer the very best and the most for our students and for our families, for our staff, to have a great start to the 2021 school year.
Question about auditions, such as symphony and band. Would it be possible to move these to a digital format?
Well, I really appreciate that question, and we have teachers, conductors who really want to do that. And I know that Ms. Bailey and the arts team are working to iron those things out, Mr. DeAngelis. wave at me if you want to add here, because, okay, thank you. Go ahead.
So Ms. Bailey and I had a meeting on this morning along with Ms. Parks, and the directors of our musical groups at the high schools are working through ways in which this can be done in a virtual setting. There are some challenges to it, but we want to give students those opportunities with contingency plans for having to do some of this face-to-face if and when we get to the point where we can.
And Mr. DeAngelis, I really appreciate, I knew that you guys were working. I also appreciate that we want to make sure that every student is connected as we look at activities of that nature and academic activities. So again, if you or anyone you know, and our prescription is one device per child, and I've interacted with parents who've said, no, I have two and I want them to share the device because I don't want them on it all the time. That's certainly the parent's decision. We respect that. But we are supporting with devices. And so if you still are in need of a device, as we're moving forward in more significant learning over these 9 weeks, please just give us a call at that tech number or write your teacher an email or your principal an email, or any of us will support you with the technology. Mr. Cluley.
A question about the possibility of seniors getting their diplomas mailed to them should the actual ceremony or whatnot be delayed into the summer.
Yes. Mr. DeAngelis, help us with the delivery of diplomas. How will that occur?
Yeah, well, we've had delivery of diplomas, delivery of yearbooks, delivery of awards, and all of the other things that go along with graduation, like honor cords and things of that nature. We're still holding out hope that we're going to be able to do all of that live and hand it to every student. But if it becomes necessary for us to completely cancel large group activities like graduation, then we'll come up with a system for getting every student all of their important things that represent the end of the senior year.
Thank you.
Question about the schools. Have they all been cleaned and sanitized?
We had a report. Thank you, Mr. Cluley. I appreciate that question. We had a report last night at the virtual board meeting from Mr. Laudzana, and it appears that our ABM team, our partners in custodial, are about 98% complete on the CDC protocol, which is the disinfecting and cleaning of every touch surface in the school. So we are very, very close on the completion of that immense task. They are practicing social distance. I do want to say that when they come in, they are considered essential and critical personnel. But when they come in, they're working in an area where they're not close to other individuals.
Question about, is the district making suggestions or requirements of teachers in terms of their engagement with the class as a whole, and as opposed to just the interaction between the teacher and an individual student?
Very good. Ms. Linden, that's a common question, and I'd love it if you would help us with a little deeper understanding. I know that you've shared that they're hanging out on Seesaw and Google Hangouts. And what is that guidance for teachers around the kind of real-time interaction with the group versus, interacting with a single individual? That's a kind of a driving question for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's a great question. I think our goal here is to make sure that all of the learning that our most wonderful and amazing teachers, I just have to say, are providing is that it's something that students can get to even if they can't be in that scheduled live interaction. And so we've asked teachers to make sure that the learning and the lessons are posted in such a way that students can access them at any time. We know that the pandemic is impacting families very differently in myriad ways. And so we need a system that's flexible for all of our families. There are many opportunities for teachers to engage live with students. We can do that within the Seesaw platform, and we also recommend Google Meets, Google Hangouts. Those are our preferred platforms because they're our safest platforms. They're also the spaces where we can monitor, and we have FERPA and COPA and other really important federal laws that we know we're abiding by. So those pieces are our preferred places. We often have teachers also providing opportunities for parents to come into those sessions and learn about what's going on in the platforms and ask questions. In addition to that sort of whole group piece, all of our teachers across the district have 2 times a week where they publish their live office hours. And that's where families and students can get help in the moment. If they have access to the platform, they can do that inside the learning platform. If they don't, they can do it by a phone, or they can shoot an email and rest assured they're going to get a response right away. So those are some pieces that we've laid out now. We do look forward, as Dr. Swift mentioned, to upgrading some of our platforms and systems so we can improve the way that we're interacting with students and to do it as safely as possible.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I want to give a shout out. Our 1,400 teachers and all of our team have transitioned approximately 7,000 classes, individual classes, over into a distance learning format. So we absolutely share the desire, and so do our teachers. I hear from them every day on this. We share that desire for more real-time interaction. We hear that, and I appreciate that being raised.
You touched on it in your answer on this last question, but we also have one specifically for younger children that haven't really been free to use the internet. Obviously, the parents have the security concerns. What kind of guidelines do we have to offer to parents to make sure that while their students are elementary school children in particular are needing to be online more, but to make sure that they're still doing so in a safe manner?
Thank you, Mr. Cluey. We've been discussing this a great deal, particularly for lower L. And I know, Ms. Linden, you and the team have been working on this. And I'm wondering about, and I know you guys will want to, but really you've got guidance for parents, but perhaps even some sessions for parents to just help, with that, with helping parents to understand how to keep their child safe. Ms. Linden, how would you respond to that?
Thank you. It's a great question and one we worry about every day. On the website, there is, under the tech supports, parent guidance for cyber safety. We do encourage all of our parents to access that, particularly because we know that while students are online and parents are trying to navigate the stay-at-home order, they may be working from home and not able to supervise what's happening online as much as they would like. I do want to reassure parents that our teachers are being encouraged to use the tools that our district supports and that we know are safe. We know that our teachers are abiding by those things. We also know that new and great resources are coming out all the time. And so as those come to our attention, we're vetting and we're making sure they're safe so that we can get those tools out. We do have a very strong firewall operating through the learning platforms as well. So I want to let families know about that. This is probably a good time to share a heads up with the community that we're upgrading that web filter and safety platform. So very soon, families will be receiving information about a new login. It is one additional step. We will support you, don't worry, but students will take one additional step of security when they now log in to get to their platforms. And it's another way that we're responding to this concern because we certainly do share it.
Thank you.
Questions, several of them regarding around the elementary report card that had been supposed to come out last month. Is that coming at some point in the future?
We know how important that elementary report card is. And Mr. Cluey had, Ms. Linden had been working with members of our team to really see how to push that report card. Sounds like an easy thing to do, to send it technologically without having to print and mail it. It's a little bit trickier than it should be. So we absolutely hear that concern and have that on our list. I'm going to throw it to you, Ms. Linden, if you want to add to that answer. I would also encourage parents, if you have specific questions about your students' progress, I would absolutely email the teacher to get that feedback and input, because nobody knows that better than the classroom teacher. But I do know there is some rhythm to the delivery of report cards. And Miss Linden, I know we can't be printing 5,000 of those to mail home today in our current environment. So what are your thoughts on that?
Thank you. I will tell you our system of mailing or sending home, I should say, paper copies of that report card right up until the closure is just another example of another system we're transitioning to an online platform. And so work is underway to provide a method, a quick method, automated method for us to print report cards electronically and mail those out to families. But as you just shared, Dr. Swift, our families can reach out directly to classroom teachers and ask for a copy of that report card to be emailed. We know that doing this over email isn't as secure as we would like. So that's why we're working on a system to disseminate them within a platform that is secure. So, but I do encourage any family that would like to have a PDF of that copy emailed could definitely do that by contacting their teacher.
Thank you. I know we're getting close. Mr. Cluey, do we want to do one more, or how shall we?
I think we've got it's kind of a statement more than a question, but a desire from several people to have additional town halls, but have them be a little bit more focused. For instance, a high school one, an SISS one, that type of thing. Is that something that could happen?
Absolutely. I love the idea. Mm-hmm. We'd love to do that. We're just really working very hard every day to get answers to hard questions, and we would love to do that. I can see Mr. DeAngelis pulling together the high school principals and you and me and anybody else who wants to, and hosting a high school in the same way Dr. Fidishin with our parents of students with special needs, and just whatever topics we need to. Again, it would be great if folks, I received this feedback, but also it would be great if folks had an opportunity to touch in on the thought exchange as well. I do want to say before I go, I continue to receive distressing communications from parents who may be overwhelmed with having children at home and trying to work from home and to manage everything that's occurring in our community and in their lives right now. I just want to reiterate that the governor's executive order is very clear that all students will progress in their grade to grade progression and in their high school graduation, and that no student will be harmed by being held back in any way. So our goal and our complete focus over the coming weeks and months, and I believe probably years, is to fill in those gaps, to provide the supports that are needed so that our students thrive and are in great shape as they move forward through their career in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. We will continue to convene regularly. I can't share with you how much I appreciate you making time to be with us today. It's a very big deal that we have our community with us and that we have our 18,500 students and all of our families. And I just want to thank Mr. Cluey, Mr. DeAngelis, Ms. Bacolor, Ms. Linden, Dr. Fidishin, and Mr. Nadeau, who's back there at Control Central, making sure that we get out. So thank you so much. We appreciate all your support, and please reach out at any time. Thank you.